Are you about to suggest that there are players leaving the World Junior Championships to go to Edmonton strip joints and Instagram hoes coming into the bubble? Ready?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 2 of the Jay and Kyle Show. That's Jay, last name Perry. My name is Kyle, middle name Andrew. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that's my last name. It isn't. It's all a facade. Speaking of facades, Jay, you look beautiful.
Thank you. As do you. I dig that jacket.
Thank you. I bought it from Fly Vintage Boutique in Miami on Biscayne
nice.
Boulevard when I was last there only a month ago.
Okay.
I love vintage. Not a lot in my size, though, I got to tell you. Anyways, I have a super important question for you. It is relevant to today's topic, but I have to ask you this first. Have you ever been to Alberta, Canada?
Does stopping over at the Calgary airport for 2 hours count?
Absolutely not. So, I've only been to Calgary for about 30 hours myself. Not a lot of experience, to be perfectly honest with you, but there's something very cool, very interesting happening in Alberta as we're recording this, and it will have probably just finished when this airs. That is one of our favorite sporting events. We both love it. We talk about it every year, the World Junior Hockey Championships. You familiar?
Yes. Very familiar.
I just asked you that question as if we don't text about it 4 times a day.
You know what? I'm hoping that when this airs, Canada will have already won the gold again.
The again is important. It's a tournament we tend to dominate. Here's a question that's not the question, but like, does anywhere in the world care about this tournament even close to the amount that Canadians care? Like, we beat the Germans 16-2 in the opening match. Now, they were shorthanded due to COVID. I get it. That's a thing. However, I texted a friend in Germany and he did not know that this tournament even exists.
It's funny because I recently seen a tweet by a TSN personality talking about this exact thing.
Yeah.
And how surprised you would be that there is a big audience overseas for it.
I figure
Especially
Sweden, Russia.
Russia had massive. I think the gold medal game got 36 million viewers last year.
Wow.
But
wow. What?
Yeah, it was wild. So, I mean, there is, I think, a larger audience than we believe, except for the States. I mean, they still don't care about hockey.
Cool.
So, what are we answering today?
Super important question to debate because it's something I've been very curious about. We actually talked about this a couple of weeks before the tournament started. And we both played hockey. We played hockey for a lot of our lives. We know what it's like. We played on higher end rep teams, all of that stuff. My question to you is, at this year's World Junior Hockey Tournament, in the championships, the final round where they come from all over the world, even during a pandemic, is there more or less underage drinking going on because of the pandemic? The players are all quarantined. They are trapped in hotels. They don't do anything, but are they drinking more or less? And we're saying this under the bold assumption that hockey players drink underage. Which is just, it's a part of the sport, let's be honest. I don't even know. What is the drinking age in Alberta? Let's assume it's 19?
I believe it's 19.
19, okay.
It's funny you say that because it's only in Canada 18 in Quebec.
That's right.
Right? Where most of us go to underage drink once we turn 18. We go there. And it's funny you say this because I was in Quebec for a hockey tournament at 18 years old, playing for my high school hockey team, and got busted in the bar by one of our teachers who was a chaperone for the team, but couldn't do anything to us because we were with one of the coaches. So the coaches were promoting us drinking because we sucked and we just went there to have fun. So I do believe that a lot of underage drinking does go on. Now, I think the tournament this year is in Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Edmonton.
So I'm not familiar with the Edmonton scene whatsoever, but I'm going to assume it's like any Canadian city across the board.
Yeah.
And we do love our beer. So I'm going to say that underage drinking is probably, I don't know, I would say on the higher end of yes, it's going to be up because there's nothing else to do. Now, you've experienced quarantine.
Yes.
I haven't. Where it's total lockdown. So tell me your view. Do you think that they're going to go stir crazy and try and sneak in alcohol.
Well, I think what are the age ranges? We got 16 to 18 or 19.
16 to 19, I think, is an overage or 20.
Yeah, and then every now and again, there's like an exceptional 15-year-old
Yeah.
or something that makes it in. Yeah, kids are going to be kids. I'm trying to think back on when I first saw alcohol in a hockey dressing room. Now, I didn't do a lot of underage drinking, but I'm pretty sure a guy on my team first showed up with alcohol, like a couple of bottles of his dad's beer when I was like 14. Something like that. And that's a very Canadian thing. Now, my perspective on this is the coaches have so much more control over the players' behavior this year during the tournament because it's not that, like in the past, I did this playing baseball on the road, hockey, whatever. You sneak out of the hotel, you go party, you do the thing. That's not an option now. Nothing's open. It's difficult. It's too easy to be caught. There's not as many things happening. So sneaking out of the hotel is not a thing. If anything, I would suggest the players are less likely to get hammered, but more likely to be supervised while drinking. Like maybe the coaches are grabbing 48 beers after a big game and going, okay, boys, 2 each. Coaches get 4 each, and then off they go.
Right. Now, I think the question would be, how do they get it into the bubble? Because, I mean, we saw the bubble work in the NHL in Edmonton where COVID couldn't get in. So how are they getting it in? Now, we did see the NBA. A lot of the players got a lot of things. And
Are you about to
into
suggest,
the bubble?
Are you about to suggest that there are players leaving the World Junior Championships to go to Edmonton strip joints and Instagram hoes coming into the bubble?
Not exactly.
Because that's what happened in the NBA. We all know this.
Yeah. But we did see how the use of Twitter, some athletes were able to get what they needed into the bubble.
Right.
Now, I mean, if somebody is a young person wanting alcohol, I think they'll get it. A lot of these guys are NHL drafted players. I mean, the Canadian captain, before he got hurt, is an everyday NHL player that got released to play. So think of the clout that he's got, and a lot of these people working in the bubble know this guy's going to have a lot of money. He's got to have a lot of influence. That guy was 19. He's allowed to drink, so let's not include him, I guess. But would he get it for his buddies, his boys? I probably would.
Yeah, like that's the thing. We've got an issue here right now of how important is the team bonding experience. And let's be honest, you're a 14 to 20-year-old male. A lot of how you bond with other males is by doing things you're not supposed to do.
Yes.
And listen, if this is Europe, a couple of beers is with family dinner every Sunday for a kid that age. It's not a big deal, or a glass of wine. Here in Canada, is it? I don't know. If I'm the parents of these kids, especially when half these kids are about to go on and actually make a very life-altering level of a salary playing this game, I'm going to look past a couple of beers. Now, they're definitely getting hammered after the gold medal game. And I'm saying whichever team gets there. We don't know at this point. And it'll have already probably been over and done with when this airs. But my guess is that there is less drinking, but more frequent supervised drinking. Because there's basically, I think the coaches are going to give them beers. And I'm not on here to say that they're feeding kids underage alcohol. I'm not making an accusation. I have no idea. My guess is that could be how it's going down.
Well, let me ask you a question. You made a good point about the European teams.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids, like you're saying, it's not uncommon for them to have a glass of wine at dinner when they're 16, 17 years old. I don't even know what the drinking age is out there. Is there a drinking age? I don't know. So when we pose that question, is there more or less drinking in the pandemic? Are we talking about a specific team, or are we talking about in general? Because I think the rules between Canadians and even Americans would differ completely between all the European teams, because in the States it's 21.
Yeah.
So they might even be either more strict about it or the opposite, and if it's there, they'll do it. So I think that maybe the European teams don't, because it's not seen as something that is all that different for them, because they do it at home on more of a routine basis.
How about this? Like, what if you're the German team? You have no chance of meddling whatsoever. Like, be realistic. They don't. Is this a party to them? Like, it's got to be. As someone who's traveled twice during this pandemic, I have to say the travel experience is not what it was. You do miss out on
Right.
things. You can't just walk
Right.
into the museums and the cultural centers and learn. Like they're in Edmonton, they can't just go and see beautiful things on their downtime. And they all probably had to quarantine. Like I assume because of our nation's rules, unless they all got exceptions, did they all fly to Edmonton 2 weeks before the tournament started? Because you're supposed to
yeah.
quarantine.
They-
but I
they
know they
did.
have been making athletic exceptions and stuff like that, which I'm completely fine with if they're all tested
So-
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really that's a good point. They definitely had to quarantine. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the German team they brought cases over. What a disaster that was. Now I had a good point, but I can't remember what the heck I was gonna say.
You're a loser!
Okay, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna change my answer based on some things you just said. And I'm going to say that drinking is probably down. Now, for two reasons. Because you said about the Germans going in having fun, right? They know they're not going to beat these teams. They're not going to medal. What they're hoping to do is to stay in this round and not get regulated to the B pool. Now, that reminded me of the story I said at the top on how we got caught drinking in Montreal for a hockey tournament.
Yeah.
We went there with the intention to have fun because at that point, our high school team wasn't that great anymore, and we got invited based on our previous year's skill, knowing that all these teams were just going to rinse us. We went to have fun. We didn't care. Honestly, we put our bags down in our hotel room, and we went straight to the beer store. And it was me and a couple guys who were 18 on the team, and we just got beers for everybody. Now, that's what we went there to do, is to have fun. Going to the junior tournament, even though it's the German team, the Austrian team, whoever you want to say that it's not a great team, I think that scouts are still looking at them. So hopefully they're going to want to play up to their ability and best they can because, they all have an NHL dream for sure. Now, especially coming over to North America to see this, who knows how, what scout's going to be there, who's going to see them and whatnot. So I would say that drinking might be down for the preliminary games because they still have a chance to get scouted for the NHL or even the KHL or overseas.
Yeah.
So I would switch my answer based on hopefully that these guys are smart enough to think about their future. But I don't know.
So I want to share one more story because I think we've kind of reached the same conclusion here. But I remember I don't have a lot of experience with underage drinking via hockey. However, when I played for a very high-level baseball team, we were traveling. We were in Windsor, Ontario for a weekend tournament. And I think one night about 6 of us snuck out and went to a strip club called Cheetahs in downtown Windsor. Now, I remember it very specifically because we're in Windsor and the Detroit Red Wings were actually in the Stanley Cup final at this time, and they were on the verge of winning. I think they were about to go up 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that. They had the best team in the NHL, and they did win that year. So all the dancers, all the people inside, they were decked out. It was a wild atmosphere in this place, Cheetahs. Kind of a seedy place. I think it's still there, though. Probably amazing to the day. We went out with our scratched IDs. We all had scratched IDs. It was like 6 of us. And we got back to the hotel, and the coaching staff was waiting in the lobby. And it was not like insanely late. It was like 11:30 p.m. We were trying to be reasonable and not getting caught. The one guy drove and whatnot, or maybe 2 guys drove. I don't remember how many of us it was. It was 4 or 6. But there was absolutely no repercussion other than the story being handed over to the parents because we were essentially 4 or 6 of the better players on the team, which may have factored into the decision. But that's my only experience. They don't have these options right now during a pandemic, which is why I'm leaning towards saying a lot of what we discussed might be made irrelevant by the fact that the options simply don't exist, and without temptation, there is no sin. So,
Right.
they might be very prudent about their futures. A lot of these Canadian kids, I'm guessing every player on the Canadian team is probably drafted. I'm guessing most of the Russians are drafted. Half the Americans are drafted. So I'm leaning towards a pretty heavy. There is less underage drinking this year for certain. I bet you there's actually more when they go to Europe and play this tournament.
Yeah. So I think that we both agree that there's probably less based on hopefully these guys will think about their future. But let's just hypothetically assume not assume, hypothetically say that there is more drinking. Who's getting it? Who's getting them the alcohol? Who is that guy or girl in the bubble that's getting them the alcohol? And how does that happen?
I know the answer.
What do you got?
The goalie coach. Goalies are all crazy. You know their coach is just as crazy. He's just like, listen, they got 3 goalies there. The third guy's never going to play a minute. He's probably tight with him. The third goalie is now working on this guy to get the beer. This guy's just happy to be on the staff with the national team. It's the goalie coach.
So Ron Tugnut is the bootlegger for Team Canada.
Is he actually the goalie coach?
I don't know.
Ron
he's
Tugnut.
He's a goalie and has a funny name.
He does have a funny name.
Okay, so I think that's it. No, unless Ron Tugnut is on the staff, then Ron Tugnut should be on every staff and every job and in every field of work. There should be some guy named Ron Tugnut,
or at least a member of the Ron Tugnut fan club.
Yes, or family, the Tugnut family.
I have a whole bunch of requests for anyone watching this video right now. I got to get them all out. If you are Ron Tugnut, please send us an email. We'd be happy to mention you more frequently. If you are a World Junior Championship hockey player on any of the teams, can you please send either of us a message, the show a message, an email or something, and talk about the kind of DMs you were getting from puck bunnies during this tournament? I want to know if this exists. Is that a thing? I want to know. If you are just watching this, please subscribe. Please click like. Please share it on whatever platform you can. It helps us immensely. Leave a comment on here. Ask us questions. We want to hear from you. Those things really value. Jay, we reached the same conclusion. There's less drinking this year, right? What do you have to say?
Yes, unless Tugnut's on the team.
Unless Tugnut's on the team. I feel like over the years, once we get to like episode 742, we should still be giving the caveat that this is our answer unless Ron Tugnut's involved. Do you know how many people are watching this right now that know who Ron Tugnut is? The answer is 0.
Yeah.
We're the only 2 people that will ever see this that know who Ron Tugnut is.
All right. It's been good. Ron, I love you. We'll meet soon.
Ron.
All right.
All right, that's it for episode number 2 of the Jay and Kyle Show. Thank you once again for watching. Again, subscribe, like, all the social shares. Do all that stuff. We need it. We need your help. That's how we grow. That's how we stay involved with the community watching the show. We really appreciate you all. For Jay, I'm Kyle, saying goodbye from episode 2 of the Jay and Kyle Show.
All right. This is where we wave a couple times.
Awkwardly. It's like we're supposed to do like a clap or something, but no, it's like...
All right, and 3, 2, 1.
Moves of a jungle cat.
Want to do a couple smiles?
Yeah, do we need to sing smiles? Or is this...
No, I think what we do is, I thought about this the other day. If you